Hi, welcome back. We have Mark Hebden and Neil Bradbury on the screen.
Yeah, so let's have a look how this turned out. It was actually a little bit of interesting opening stuff. So King's Indian from Mark, that's not too surprising. The funny thing was that I think I've always seen Mark playing the Mar del Plata with knight c6. That's just one of the things you associate with Mark. But here he played knight a6, which is actually quite a favoured move of chess engines nowadays.
Matthew, I must interrupt you here because I saw in a recent tweet of yours that there was an engine that declared that h6 was a good move here.
Yeah.
Could you comment on that for us?
Yeah, no. So it's h6 is actually Stockfish's favorite move. So if you let it run at massive depths, actually, but even from the start, this is the move that it wants to play. And there have been a few games. I mean, Fabiano has played this, and there was a game also at the Olympiad as well, a game of Pragas as well. But the idea is actually quite beautiful. First of all, the important thing is that, all of these tactics with d takes e5, I mean, there's always some way to cover them, right? In the King's Indian. The question is whether you can, delaying it, playing an extra move like h6 works. But normally we've got these ideas with knight e4 and bishop e5. And if bishop h6, we've got bishop takes b2. So tactically, we're just sort of hanging together. And the idea of h6 is that, how is white going to develop? Normally, a typical idea for white to develop is to play a move like bishop e3. But here we can actually just hit it with knight g4. The normal reply is to go bishop g5, but here you've covered that with h6. If you go to d2, then I've got stuff like e takes d4, which is annoying. I guess if knight takes d4, we can go knight takes h2 at a minimum. King h2, bishop takes d4. Bishop h6. I've got queen h4 check, and the craziness continues. So that's actually working fine. So actually, bizarrely enough, white's a major white way of developing bishop e3 is actually cut out with this move h6. Now, if you go d5,
so what I'm reading into this is that Hebbs doesn't follow Stockfish, and he hasn't.
Hebbs, last time I talked to Hebbs, he was still using Shredder, which is, a little bit like still walking around with flare trousers and 70s pants, really, So, I mean, to be honest, Hebbs always had his own reasoning, of course, and he always said that he preferred analyzing with weaker engines because they were easier to guide. So he always said, that if he's got a strong engine, then straight away it's telling him that he's rubbish, and it sort of knocks his motivation. Whereas a weaker engine is easier to sort of have a conversation with. I'm not 100% convinced about that, but I do, understand the idea really. But
Matthew, I think it's also worth pointing out that in the position with the king on e1, rather than what white can play instead 7 bishop e3.
Yeah,
and in fact, John Nunn invented the move h6 here.
Oh, really?
Success.
That's okay.
And the idea was de knight g4, which had some success before the engine made a mess of it. But so I found White's response to h6, bishop e3, a little bit odd for that reason.
Yeah. So I mean, the main move is rook e1. So this is the idea. Now, what's the other main point of h6? Well, if we just go back to the Mar del Plata, then if you go knight c6, well, I meet it then with d5, knight e7, and actually this knight on e7 is rather poor. It's not a great square. It always ends up being restricted, and it takes quite a bit of time for this knight to get active. I mean, Kasparov came up with all sorts of ideas like king h8 and knight eg8 and all this sort of stuff. So the idea is to
kind of support f5 though, doesn't it?
It does. But in principle, the knight on e7 is quite poorly placed. I mean, it would be much better if that knight was on d7 or coming into c5. So the idea of going h6 is that if white goes d5, you simply go a5, and then you play knight a6 to c5. You're still going to go knight h7 or knight h5 and play your f5 Mar del Plata, but you'll have the knight much better on c5 rather than on e7. So, but the really beautiful stuff about this Stockfish stuff is that after h6, so rook e1, this is like a really flexible white move here, just waiting. So, if you go knight c6, then I'll just go d5, knight e7, and I'll probably go b4. And rook e1's a useful move in this bayonet King's Indian. H6 not so much necessarily. So so that's the idea. But Stockfish came up with the amazing idea that after rook e1, you can still actually play this move a5. And all these tactics on e5 are not really working still. So if you go d5, well then I go knight a6 and I'm great. Yeah. And it gets even crazier because the idea was so you're looking around for waiting moves.
Well,
so
rook b1. No, rook b1 is what we normally did in the knight a6 line in the old days.
That's possible. Rook b1 would also
rook b1. Yeah.
Rook b1 would also be an idea. I mean, there's plenty of stuff. I mean, I was looking at stuff like king h1 instead of rook e1 actually. But the nice idea is that if a3 is played, which is again, it's nicely aimed against knight a6 because then you've got b4. Ideas like b4. You can exploit this rook on a8 somehow. But then what Stockfish was doing was playing this move a4. And just the idea was simply that you're just going to give up this a pawn for counterplay. So I mean, one of the main lines was takes, then knight c6, takes, knight a4, knight g4 with all sorts of weird counterplay. I mean,
there's some entertainment there, isn't there? Yeah, you can see.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of entertainment. I mean, it's a really amazing idea. But I mean, again, this line of the King's Indian. I mean, tens of thousands of games, and this move h6 has never been thought about in this position. And but yeah, it's
weird though. Yeah,
it's weird. Yeah, no, it's really weird. But I mean, it's hanging together on some pretty complex tactics, but quite amazing. But anyway, I mean, I'm sure this is going to become a main line now because it's really Stockfish's number one move in this position. But Leela's number one move is knight a6 actually, which is what Mark played.
So maybe he trained with Leela, not Stockfish.
Well, I'm not sure actually. It's been a long time. I mean, I used to. This is the line that I used to play when I played an infrequent King's Indian, but I played it more in weekend tournaments when I was professional than main tournaments. And I loved this knight a6 line. I thought it was a very nice line, and Mark's playing it here. So bishop b3, getting back to Mark's game, c6, d5. We get this knight g4 now. Takes the bishop away. Bishop d2. And Mark plays something quite unusual here, really playing a very fast f5.
Yep.
And we get a very interesting thing that Neil does. And I mean, I hate it in principle, but it's perfectly reasonable. It's just I just don't like doing this. So he goes h3, knight f6, bishop g5.
Matthew, I'm so pleased you said that because I've been saying how much I hate it in principle as well.
Yeah,
I just feel positionally it neuters White's position.
It's really, in principle, it's really bad, right? I mean, there was a game in the Olympiad actually where Gawain's opponent gave up the dark squared bishop. He played bishop e3 takes c5, and Gawain just toasted him, roasted him completely, and I felt it was thoroughly deserved because it's really not a good thing to do. But the thing about this line, bishop g5, I mean, it's actually even a line in the Mar del Plata, so you can actually play after castles. You can actually play this move, bishop g5. H6, bishop f6. This is really, known there as well. And
Vladislav Angor invented it, didn't he?
That's right. Yeah, and the whole idea is that when you remove that knight on f6, Black's got less pressure on the center, and also he's missing a knight, to aim for dark squares and also support g5 to g4. So it might be more difficult. And then White's going to try and do something on the queen side. It's just that without my dark square bishop, I'm always, I just never really believe that I'm going to break through this black position. That's the problem, and but it's not, it's a known and okay way of playing, but it's just as a white player, I just don't like giving up my bishops just like that. So but Neil plays quite consistently now, plays a3, c5 from Mark. It makes sense now to set up some sort of dark square blockade on the queen side now that the dark square bishop has gone. I mean, one of White's main ideas against, whenever Black sets up some sort of structure like this is to sacrifice, swap off some pawns and even sacrifice a piece on against this dark square pawn structure, and then these C and D pawns push through. But yeah, without the dark square bishop, of course, you're never going to be able to do this. But what Carlton does, Neil does, sorry, is go. I'm getting confused. Bishop D3, H5, and Bishop C2, and this is not silly at all. So Bishop H6, and now Bishop A4. And now Mark's got to do a little bit of thinking here. I mean, I was actually, wondering about maybe having brought this bishop out of the way first earlier to E8 and just to try and escape this bishop somehow. But
Matthew, I was thinking that Bishop D7 actually probably just wasn't necessary.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
I'd rather have it defending the knight,
Yeah, no, I think to be honest, I would have just started going with the old kingside attack there, H5 and Bishop H6, or F4 at some stage. This one, it's not so clear. I mean, you don't want to exchange off these bishops, otherwise, White's got exactly what he wants here, and some nice queen invasions coming in. I mean, that's a little bit annoying. So, I mean, the move I'd really want to play here is Bishop C8, but I was having a quick look at this. You get slightly interested with it. So I mean, Bishop C6, Rook B8, and now I mean, I suppose Queen A4 is quite a natural move. Knight B5 may be possible as well, but probably Queen A4. And then the question is, is Black going to have some good attacking chances here, or are we going to cause a surprising amount of damage with the with the knight?
B5's coming in. B5 could be very serious for Black.
I mean, B5 could be pretty serious. I mean, there's also, if you're really worried about the kingside attack, then Bishop D7 is also a decent idea, just to try and swap off the light square bishops. Yeah, I mean, the thing about it is that you could actually meet Bishop D7 with B5, like a temporary bring that bishop back to B5 and then attack. But I am actually, I'm wondering slightly about here. I mean, it's actually getting quite concrete now, and Black's got to have some decent ideas here.
Hibbs wasn't completely confident with this game, by the way. I spoke to him before the game and said, "Who are you playing?" And he said, "Neil." And I said, "Have you played before?" And he said, "Yeah, he played just a few weeks ago. Hibbs was white in that game and won quite convincingly. But he said now he's Black, and Neil is a very good player. His rating is 22-11, but actually." Yeah. Before, when he played, he was way stronger than that.
Oh, when I was a junior, he was one of my contemporaries, and I always had great difficulty playing him, actually. Yeah. He was a very good positional player.
Yeah. So I said to Hibbs, well, he'll be able to practice then. Yeah. And Hibbs said, no, he's just getting back into practice.
Yeah, he's getting back into it, yeah.
A bit recently. So he could well be quite, well above his grade.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a number of players. Oh, no, I was going to mention another one, and now I've forgotten. I've played him quite a few times, recently, and it was somebody contemporary of John Nunn's and John Spielman's, who he achieved his Iron title recently.
Yes,
older player.
Yes,
John Pigott.
That's right. Yeah. And
again, another super talented player, but had a very busy professional life.
Yeah,
and now he's got time to devote to chess. I mean, he beat Alexei Shirov in Reykjavik, of course.
Yeah. I mean, I drew with him at the 4 NCL. I beat him in one weekender, but it was all you could feel that he was a good guy. He's a good player. So I wouldn't be surprised if getting it back into practice if Neil got quite a bit of his strength before. I mean, I'm just looking at this position.
I'm going to go. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, nice seeing you, Malcolm.
Bye.
So, I mean, to be honest, I'm a little bit worried about B5. I would be thinking more about maybe throwing in a C takes B4, because if you go B5, then I've got knight C5. I mean, it's not necessarily what I want to do, but now I would have some ideas maybe to start sacrificing stuff in the grand manner. Not quite sure how that's working, but for example, if I went F takes E4, I mean, I could go Rook F7. I could do it this way and just protect A7. So if B5, I've got knight C5. I stop Bishop D7 and then claim that something's happening as possible. Or I could try and go FE. Well, probably I've got to look at this sometime. The idea is knight E4. I guess I want to go Queen F4. And then if you go knight D6, I'll go Bishop takes H3. And I will be claiming that this is quite good for me as black.
For black, yeah. Well, it's always nice to have the pieces on the king's side, isn't it?
Even if it's not true, it's likely to be objectively, it's likely to be annoying because there's not many white pieces defending there. I mean, you've got
that knight on e6 is on freeze, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'm threatening bishop g2 and or queen g4. So I've also got e4 actually as a threat attacking this guy. So I think this would be quite dangerous. So what you'd want something a little bit solid here. Something like, for example, knight fd2, if you could possibly get away with it. Just covering the knights. But I don't know. It feels a little bit wobbly for white just at the moment. So on the other hand, black doesn't have that many pieces in play, and unfortunately, bishop f5 would be somewhat embarrassing because g3 traps
the queen.
Yeah, so this might not be f takes c4 might be a little bit early. It might be that you want to play a move rook f7, maybe play bishop f4 first afterwards, and then at some stage, I don't know, maybe even go for g5 to g4 or something. But it's not like a foregone conclusion that black's doing really well here. It's sort of it's a very, very risky position, this. But I would think that you'd really want to you'd want to avoid this exchange of light square bishops. I don't think you want to allow it unless you've got something really clever, that you can do. But I don't really think that black's got that many attacking pieces in there, so I don't think so. So I would say bishop c8, and then probably rook b8, and knight b5. I'm a little bit nervous about playing a move like knight b5 because we've got stuff coming in. So I'd like to keep those pieces together. As I said, I think taking on b4 is quite good just to make sure the knight gets a square on c5, and then afterwards maybe just rook f7, just keep it tight, and then put the onus on white again to find something. But it's not clear, right? I mean, there's even moves like ideas like c5 are not silly by any means. Or maybe rook e1 first to play c5 and attack this pawn. Yeah, it's going to be a sharp one, but it's a King's Indian, of course. So what can you expect? If you didn't want
to, the King's Indian for years, hasn't he?
Yeah, if you didn't want to have a rubbish position with attacking chances, then you should have played the Queen's Gambit declined, really. So I think Mark will be reasonably happy with this. Let's have a look. John Ems against Stephen Jones. That's quite a quiet...
actually, some more information is John Ems and Mark Hebden that we've just seen. They're both were in the senior team that won the World Championship recently. So exactly. John Ems was the captain of that team. So England won the over 50s World Championship.
Exactly. Yeah. Have you got anything to say about the women's team, Natasha?
You can get it much bigger. Click accept cookies. Yeah, and then we can all see it properly.
There we go.
A little bit better.
Okay.
Anything to say about the women's team's
and the women's team won the over 50s as well, yes. So I was part of that team that won the World Championship women's over 50s. So England have lots of world champions at the moment.
Some excellent oldies. So so let's have a look. This is John's game. So this was a Gyoko piano hinting at going d4, which has been quite amazingly analysed by Gawain Jones in a recent book. He calls it the coffee house chess repertoire, which sounded sort of like, know a couple of lines and then just play an attack and it's easy. Turned out to be a quite amazing work of analysis, I have to say. But d4, I always thought these lines were nothing at all, but Gawain makes an amazing go of them. It's I could definitely recommend that book to
it's a great book,
anyone, I have to say. So d3 anyway was played. This is the Gyoko pianissimo. d6. Black can decide to play d5 quickly or d6. In principle, both good, but these are quite complicated positions. Castled a6. Bishop b3. John playing a restrained approach. A4 is possible, to play A4 and B4. Maybe to attack on the queen side. I mean, often they meet A4 with A5, having played A6 first of all. It's a sort of modern theory go figure type of reaction that it has. But bishop B3 is normal. To be honest, I used to play these systems the same way. Had quite a bit of success with this in the 4NCL. Once I started playing again, I never played E4 really as a professional, but when I started playing again, I played E4 quite a bit. And just like playing these systems, you just play, eventually rook E1, knight F1, G3, and just play for some sort of Lopez attack. So bishop A7, H3, H6, rook E1, H3 played just to stop knight G4. Rook E8, knight F1, bishop E6. Black playing very sensibly here. Amazingly, white often takes on E6 in these positions. Looks like it should be nothing to me, but the elite players managed to make quite a bit of this. But John played bishop E3, actually offering the exchange of both sets of bishops. Okay. And Black replied with D5. So take.
Would you say it's a little bit better for white here, or just quite drawish?
Yeah, no, probably actually it's just completely even, I have to say. But it's what I've always found, it's one of those things that's hard to capture in engine evaluations. Really, is that I always find that Black goes. It's easier for Black to go wrong in these positions than white somehow. You blink and then all of a sudden, suddenly white's got some sort of advantage attack on the king side and nobody knows why. So I think probably the difficulties, hidden though they are more on Black's side than white's, which makes it a very pleasant opening to play as white. I got a massive score about it, even though I felt I was probably objectively a little bit worse from most of the openings. It's just simply. It was just easier to play as white. Here John gets a micro advantage because obviously he brings the rook to A7, so Black has to spend a tempo getting it back. But again, it's not a huge thing there. And rook E3, rook E7, A3 played by John. And what can you say really about this position? Depends a little bit whether Black can actually do anything amazing here. The seeds of some slight trickiness for Black are in this position because so we've got the knight on C6 defending the pawn on E5, and Black's got the bishop on D5, which is a little bit stuck somehow. If it goes back to E6, then E5 hangs. So at some stage, it looks like either Black's going to be able to get in E4, and liquidate everything, or Black might have to end up playing bishop takes F3. But after a move like bishop F3, we play queen F3, and then we've got stuff like knight F5 coming in. So there's some sort of slight. It's not like much at the moment, but there's some slight awkwardness in the Black position, and White's going to play probably queen E2, and then rook E1, line up on the E5 pawn, and then just ask Black, what are you actually doing then? And that might actually be a little bit awkward. I think somehow imperceptibly Black's pieces aren't quite where they'd really want to be here. So again, I'd as always in these positions, I'd much rather be white than Black. Black might try and maybe move this knight from F6, maybe move it round H7, F8, G6. That would be a nice square, if you could aim for F4. But that's quite a long maneuver. But that would be my sort of temptation, really, maybe to go knight H7 in this position, just get the knight out of the way and try and regroup. And if push came to shove, you could always go F6, for example, and maybe support the pawn on E5. But it's not easy. It's not easy. I'd rather be white in this position, but it's probably objectively not a huge amount. But I think John's will be very happy from
quite a long game, I guess. Quite a bit of manoeuvring left to do here.
Yeah, it depends how careful Black is. It's the sort of thing where you could end up with Black, just making a small mistake and then suddenly getting attacked and it's over quickly. Or if you get some sort of good feeling for how to develop your pieces, then it could be a long game because objectively, I don't suppose White's got so much, But again, I'd rather be white in this position rather than Black. Adam Taylor against Brandon Clark. So this is quite a funny little thing. So we've got knight F3 here, B5, C4, D4, b4, c5. And what we've got with white here is a benko, a tempo up, which sounds fantastic, but in principle, and in practice, just never ends up being that much, really. One of those mysteries, really. But I think probably, by looking at engine evaluations, you sort of understand why, really. I mean, probably the benko with black, it's sort of like 0.7, 0.8 for white. So when you switch it around, with the extra tempo, well, how much are you really going to cover there? The engines tend to assume that it's just about even and maybe a little bit worse for white, But obviously, what engines think and the practical problems of playing, against a benko in with black is quite something quite different. But in actual fact, here, I mean, black's.
Isn't Adam Taylor quite a positional player, though? I had in my mind. I'm sure I've played him, and he played just a really good positional game.
He's played a lot of knight f3 systems here, but I mean, this wasn't really taking a risk, right? Because after c5, Adam didn't even offer the benko gambit. He just took the pawn on c5 straight away. So
Isn't this just the line Ramirez recommends?
B4 is what Ramirez recommends. Yeah. But I don't think after c5 that he recommended taking on c5.
He doesn't recommend taking on c5. No. Yes,
no. I mean, in all fairness, it is a bit of an odd move, really, because black gets to. You don't notice the extra tempo that white's got very well now anymore, because black just gets to develop all of his pieces naturally and bring the bishop to c5 in one go. So, yeah. Actually, this is more or less Brandon's basically playing white here, and he's turned down a benko gambit. So it's quite a good.
Oh, I'm confusing Adam A. Taylor with Adam C. Taylor. That's perfectly possible. Yes.
Oh no!
There's two very strong Adam Taylors. At least two very strong Adam Taylors.
That could be it. So yeah, I mean, this is quite okay for white, of course, but also quite okay for black. I'm not so happy with putting the knight on b5, I have to say. That's rather getting in the way of the b file. I would much prefer really to play this knight to c2 and try and get it out to b4 to d5, or to help support e3. Knight b5 I'm a little bit unhappy with. But so knight c5 and knight e6, all quite nice play from Brandon here, and actually you're already threatening a6 winning a piece in actual fact. So queen c1 played, a6, knight a3. So I guess that here black is going to claim that white's going to claim rather that you can play c5 and knight c4. So you've got to be prepared against that as black. Brandon went rook d8, and now white played c5. So we're getting to the sort of the crux of the whole position here, I think. What is all this about in actual fact? Quite interesting. The key thing is knight c4 actually a threat or not? That is
giving up this c-pawn.
That is a good question. Yeah. There's a feeling of random tactics around, but I'm not 100% sure about them.
Knight b6.
Well, knight b6 we can take on b3 and go rook b8, which is fairly solid, really. I mean, that's pretty good. What we could have, this move queen a3. That's one possibility. I was just wondering about here because at this moment we're attacking two pawns, e5 and b7. So that might be an idea. That's possible. The other idea would be, I keep on thinking that I'm missing a clever win of the piece somehow, but I don't think that's true.
Which piece are you trying to win?
Well, I mean, bishop c6, bc, queen a3 wins a piece. That's the part of the point. But obviously, there's multiple ways where that doesn't win a piece. But it's just it's actually a completely different position. But I'm getting weird flashbacks to. There's a book called Hidden Moves. It's by Yohanan Afek, the Israeli IM, and or Hidden Move, something like that. To my horror, I discovered that I'd once missed a hidden move in an opening and missed winning a piece against a very strong opponent. So
no.
it's since then I'm I'm always a little bit worried in analysis that I'm not missing something like that. The only other idea that you could have with white would be something like knight takes e5, opening this up. But I guess that this is never going to be anything for white. Of course, we've got bishop g2 and then queen e2, so this is just winning for black. So probably this probably the best thing you'd have would be something like queen a3. But I mean, I think even that would not be. It wouldn't be better for white by any stretch of the imagination. It might just be sort of decent, okay, maybe. But maybe you've got something better than bishop d7. I mean, there is stuff like something like knight b4, which is quite tempting. I mean, just with the idea of coming to d5 into c3, that's always what you want to do. As soon as somebody does this in a benko, you're always looking for a move like this. But I don't know whether that that makes things better for black or worse. I can't really. I'm not really sure. I probably need some more calculation to understand that. Knight b6, knight b3 looks all rightish for black. Ooh, I don't know. This knight's a little bit weird
because this bishop can come out now. It's got some squares.
Yeah. G4. I don't know. Yeah, it's one of those. Practical dilemmas, really, that you just got to. It's easy as a commentator just to say, "Oh well, yeah, could be interesting." Well, he'll have to work it out, won't he?
Yeah. Well, they've got to play it for the rest of the afternoon.
Exactly. I mean, something like knight g5 is actually also not so stupid, bizarrely enough. Although I wouldn't have played rook d8 in combination with that. I might have, wondering about.
See, knight g5 to me looks like it's provoking h4.
Well, it is actually, yes, that's right. I was vaguely wondering whether I could go knight h3 and knight f4. This was my.
Oh.
It's just I'm getting triggered just because these pieces are on here, really. So you're thinking gf takes king g1, bishop h3. Because I mean, I'm threatening queen g4. It's not completely impossible, even if it's not particularly good. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's some chances in there. But I'm not sure that rook d8 was a particularly useful move from that point of view. I mean, you might have wanted to play h5, or something like that, if you were really serious about a plan like that. But it's not completely stupid. I mean, the idea, knight g5. You could, of course, go knight c4 because you're no longer attacking this pawn. But I was thinking more about doing stuff like bishop g4. And just trying to attack this pawn on e2, maybe force white to go f3. With rook e1, we can go knight h3 check. And the idea is you can't go to h1 anymore, so you go to f1. No, I don't know, maybe I go queen f6. Who knows? Probably just been playing too much blitz. So, but it's, I mean, you mustn't, it's not something you can forget completely that, there's not that much defending this white king somehow. So, and white doesn't have that much play in the center, so not sure. But we'll see what Brandon had lined up against c5. I mean, rook d8 actually is a bit of a. I wonder why Brandon went rook d8 actually, because it's a slightly strange move. Maybe he was a bit or worried. Maybe he was thinking that white might play either e3 or f4 and try and undermine d4, and he was just protecting it. Certainly, maybe against e3. I don't know. It's not one of my most natural. I mean, bishop d7, for example, would have been a move I would have been thinking of. Just maybe get the rook out, or maybe even have the possibility of going b6 to stop c5, something like that.
Hi, Regan. Oh, Blue Grey Haze is suggesting a rook lift from d8.
Yeah, it's the only thing is once we go c5, it's a bit tough for an old rook lift. That's the thing.
Then you can't. Yeah.
You'd have a better chance if the rook had gone to e8, and then get the knight on e6 out of the way. I mean, maybe rook e8, knight g5 would be that would definitely be a good rook lift candidate. That would definitely be true.
Yep.
Not sure, but Okay, interesting stuff. C5 played anyway, so we're going to see how that goes. I mean, in principle, I think Black's doing absolutely fine, but obviously, when you get little explosions like this, potentially that could just liquidate everything to a rather equal position. So you've got to be a bit careful as the higher rated player. In a tournament like this where there's 9 rounds, you really do need to get a good start. To stay in the hunt, I think, for the title. So okay, that's quite interesting. Let's have a look at Danny Gormally against Whoa. Yes. What is happening here? I was a bit shocked, to be honest, that Danny played the Torre attack. So it's doesn't really feel like Danny to me, but
what's his normal?
He's E4. He's E4 aggressive stuff, really, and he's also D4 as well. Yeah. He's an aggressive player, really.
He did D4 against him. Yeah.
The Torre is a little bit. It was Mark's favourite opening, and Mark is definitely not a Danny type of player, So just seemed a bit strange to me. But maybe just wanting to just try and get a position. But actually, Black
Danny's definitely very keen to try and win the competition this year. He wants to get the championship.
I can imagine. He's one of the higher rated players. It's an excellent chance, of course. So but Black actually played very sensibly here. This is quite a well-known way of playing. I think the French players did this a lot. Just you get the queen out of the way, hit B1. And then you just play knight c6, knight d7, and play for e5 in the center. So, and that's not, that's not easy to counter. And what Danny did was quite strange, really. I think he was caught by surprise because he spent quite a lot of time here. He went. I've seen a lot of reactions to this move, but I've never seen bishop c2 to b3, which is not to say that it's a bad reaction, but it is quite. It's quite odd, I have to say. So, it's not 100% clear to me what's happening after c4.
Yeah, it's hard to know, isn't it, whether to play c4 in this kind of position. And
I don't know. There's a few ideas. If we go bishop c2, just play stupidly and grab as much space as possible. I don't know. Not 100% sure about this. Is this really going to be bad for Black?
Well, White's going to try and break out with f3 and try and kind of undermine the center.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know. It could just get quite explosive. I was just vaguely wondering about just just going for it and playing f5, f4. Yeah. Not to be underestimated, but maybe it's all too much. Yeah, not 100% sure about it really. It's one of those things. It's just that often you assume, I'm tempting the opponent forward, but then often you do it against engines, and they just end up taking the space. That's the thing. So I'm not 100% sure. In general, as from my own playing style, I've got I'd have a strong aversion to playing c4 and e4. But you do start to wonder when you see enough of these engine lines that you think, well, maybe actually just grabbing the space and seeing what White's got, is also an option. Would be interesting anyway. E takes d4 was played. Bishop takes d5, and now knight d e5. Looks very sensible in principle. Stuff is going to get exchanged here, and then it's a question of what remains once everything's cleared. How good is that? Danny cleared everything here. Knight d5 takes. Sorry, no, I'm looking at wrong. He played knight takes c5 here. Sorry, knight takes e5. Just cleared everything away, and played knight e4, offering the exchange of queens. So this is quite a positional way of playing. The idea is, I suppose, that after queen d1, probably rook fd1, well, we're just going to claim a white advantage here, which is fairly plausible because you've got you've got active bishop knight. Yeah. I mean, the only question is, these positions sometimes, you say, oh well, I would guess white is better, and then somehow you analyze it with an engine, and there's a very concrete way of just rounding everything off and neutralizing everything.
The other thing is, right, white's better, but it's not much, is it? It just looks like a little bit better. Don't know what you think.
Yeah, well, it's sort of thing. I don't know. It depends a little bit, really. I mean, if black doesn't have a good way of developing the pieces, then it could be quite awkward. For example, rook b8, I could have a bishop e7 and bishop d6, and things go wrong quickly. I mean, that's the point. But I'm not 100% sure about it, to be honest. The only thing I am wondering about is whether black would have done better before doing this idea, whether it would have been better to play the move h6 first, maybe, just to have these moves included, because that gives the king some room and also gives you the opportunity to play h6 in this type of position. Whereas after here, h6, you'll get hit by bishop e7. I think that playing h6, that was actually one of those things that was probably needed, maybe, but not quite sure. But black played knight d3. Queen b6 was also a reasonably normal-looking move, but knight d3 quite aggressive.
Yeah. After this game, we're going to say hello to Jack.
Oh, okay. Has Jack already finished?
Jack has finished. How was your game? He won. Jack won.
Did you
Jack always finishes first anyway. Jack's a very fast player.
Did you queen your a-pawn, Jack? That's what we want to know.
Did you queen your a-pawn was Matthew's question. No, we're going to find out in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that game. Let's just move on quickly then. We'll just queen b3, bishop b6 played. Black going for lots of tactics. Quite a sharp game, actually. And here, Danny went full in with the old bishop takes a7. And knight c5 played, and Danny now having a good think about that. It's sort of really, I suppose, what sort of position do you want to play? Are you going to play something like, for example, trying to think, you could conceivably
have to take the knight. No,
you could conceivably claim a move like this, for example. When you've got two pawns and two bishops, if you can find a good way to make this awkward, that would be quite nice. If you play bishop c5, queen c5, we're bound to be heading to some sort of opposite colored bishop position where black gets some pawns back, or one pawn back, probably. And that's not 100% clear, maybe. Or maybe there's a clever way of doing it. Something like queen b5 is not too silly. If you go rook b7, I go queen c5. And the idea would be that, black can get a pawn back, but I've got, it's, not an opposite colored bishop ending at least. And the only thing that I'm slightly worried about is that this bishop on a7, is it getting out, or can we do something clever and then trap it somehow? That would be, that would need a little bit of calculation. But actually, Danny has played queen f3, and he is obviously going for, he's offering this position.
So Stockfish does queen f3 as well. So
yeah, it's probably better. It's trying to go, rather than queen b5, it's trying to go for the same idea actually. So if we go knight b7, then he's going to take off on here probably, and then take on here and claim that this rook and two passed pawns against this broken structure, that this is going to be very good for white. Quite conceivable. And if I go rook takes b7, then we go bishop c5, and we're attacking the rook on b7. And then queen f3 takes, rook takes b2. Well, it's an extra pawn for white, So I guess we go rook b1, and then we sort of claim that that this is going to be good. But how good? If I go bishop d4 here, is this really nice? Not sure really. This rook ending is not so amazing. Not sure. Maybe we got a better idea here. We might be able to go something like a4. That might be better. And then you meet rook a8 with rook b1. That would be maybe cleverer. Yeah. Going to need some precision here to end up with a really good endgame, but maybe it's possible. Maybe this is all possible.
Right.
So let's go to Jack's game.
Okay, so Jack is one of the fastest players in the tournament.
Yes.
Fastest man in the West. Oh, that was nice finish. Okay, let's take us through the game then. Then Jack, we've got a Queen's Gambit accepted on the board.
Yes, I don't face it very often, so just trying to remember what the right moves are. But knight f3, I think, is the main line. Knight f6, e3, e6.
Yeah, e6, bishop c4, a6, castles.
Yes, I could play a4 to stop him playing b5, but I thought it would be more what I wanted to let him play b5 and then play a4 afterwards too.
Yeah. No, the a4 lines they're quite old-fashioned, but they're not really anything for black. I mean, here black played something a little bit odder, I suppose, or on the odd side. I mean, normally they played c5 in this position.
Jack's opponent's in the room as well, by the way.
No, I'm not being rude. Yeah. I mean, knight bd7 is bizarrely enough has also been played recently. I've seen. I mean, normally in the good old days, we always said that that you delayed b5 before white played a knight to c3. That's what I'm talking about. And so the idea is that, I mean, for example, this was the old main line, c5, knight c3. You play b5 and bishop b7. And if white goes a4, then you play b4. That's the idea. And you hit a knight on c3. If you play b5 before the knight goes to c3, then just imagine this type of position. Then we get the knight into d2 straight away without being hit first. So that's the that's why I'm claiming that b5 is a little bit. But they've been doing it recently. They've been just ignoring all this wisdom that I gathered when I was playing the QJ all the time as a professional, and they've just been ignoring it. So you can ignore me. You can ignore what I say too. So bishop d3 played. That's very sensible. Bishop b7 now, and a4.
Yes.
So b4, I guess, is I think is probably the best move here. And queen c2. That's unusual.
Yeah, I wanted to force him to make a decision early on as to whether to take my knight on f3 or not.
Okay.
Yes.
You had a bit of a think here.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not normal to. I mean, I suppose because normally the queen goes rather to e2 than c2 because black's likely to go c5 and maybe rook c8 or something. But it's quite interesting. So knight bd7, knight d2. Yeah, I was expecting c5 here. Actually, that was really the move I was expecting.
I would probably have played knight c4. I think.
Okay, knight c4, and I guess maybe something like rook c8, maybe.
Okay, then yes, I bring the queen over to e2.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. Funnily enough, I don't know whether you realize this, but you are actually following the great Efim Bogolubov, who came up with this exact idea, and which was to play queen c2 first, and after rook c8, to play the queen over to e2, to hit the pawn on a6. So it is actually, it has actually got enormous pedigree. So it was. I think it's in one of these. Bogolubov wrote some theoretical pamphlets in the 1920s. So I think I saw it there. I will say that when I read it, I thought, "What a load of rubbish!" But no, it turned out very well for him against a pretty strong player. So no, it's an interesting idea. So black played h6 here.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Knight c4, and now couldn't resist. Bishop takes f3. So takes c5. I have played bishop takes f3 in a QJ before, but normally it's when white's got the pawn committed to e5 somehow. This is quite a solid structure somehow, so it's not going to be easy. So king h1. Rook c8, queen e2.
The point behind king h1 is simply that if black just plays bishop e7 and castles, I can get a very strong attack simply by going rook g1.
Yeah. No, this is very nice. I mean, it's a good general move. King h1. It's never going to be a bad move, that one. So okay, so black took the pawn, got your isolated pawn. On the other hand, it's a very, very nice position, actually. Queen c7, bishop d2, that's very sensible. knight d5, rook c1, queen b8, and after feinting to go on the king side with king h1, you played knight a5.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really that's quite nasty actually. It's quite just exposing all these all the drawbacks, I suppose, to bishop f3. Really, that's the
there's also the thing that I'm threatening knight c6, and then if he moves his queen to,
you've got it, haven't you? You've got it. Yeah. Yeah, let's just.
Oh, this one. That one.
I'm struggling to find a move that allows it, but let's just say
Can
g5.
you show it on the board, Matthew? Yeah.
Yeah, then knight c6, queen b6, and then queen takes e6 check. Ah, and gold coins will be thrown all over the board. There we are. Lovely. So yeah, that would be gorgeous. That's quite. That's really lovely. So so I think Black probably played.
Someone really strong fell for it, like in the last.
Sebastian Feller.
Yes, Feller. Yes, yeah. There's plenty of things to be said about that, but I think we'll keep a silence there. But indeed, this French grandmaster fell for it after just 13 moves.
Yes.
So knight a5. So I think what Black did was very sensible here. I thought, at least. I couldn't really think of much else to do. Really, just give away that a6 pawn and just try and claim that you've got some dark squares, basically, on the king side, which I think is true. But this is a nice move to put that knight on c6. It just stops that queen from ever thinking about coming over here. So that's quite annoying. Yeah. Queen a8, bishop a6.
Yeah, he's got to go to a8 because otherwise I've got loads of extra tempi from doing whatever.
Yeah. I guess something like queen b6. Yeah, you get a5 in, don't you, as well? And then afterwards,
you can't go on to c5 because I've got knight takes b4.
Yeah, that's right as well. Yeah, no, that's it's got to be a8. That's not the best square. Yes. But okay, bishop a6. That was my why I said did you queen the a pawn? I thought that was quite likely somehow, but
it's always something in the back of my mind that I can maybe swap everything off and promote the a pawn.
Yeah, because I mean, what you did, you followed up with queen b5 and bishop b7, so it was really looking like a racing certainty there. So knight f4 played. Yeah, I suppose I would have just castled and tried to get the queen across and then do something. I suppose would have been. It's a difficult position for Black. I mean, that's
if you castle, I was going to play bishop b5 and then maybe rook g1.
That's a good idea. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, that's keeping control. That's very nice. Yeah, that's a nice idea. Because this is just
yes. By playing knight f4, he forces me to put the queen there instead. So
yeah. That's queen b5, bishop b7, queen e8, and rook e1. I like that move. That's just not getting carried away, just keeping control again. Yes. I liked very much what you did. I thought this was really a lovely, clean way of playing, actually, because I mean, you could try and just push your pawn and then calculate a little bit and hope that the Black's not getting in there. But what you did was really nice, actually. It was so takes, and not at all obvious. It was quite surprising. But when you see it happen, you sort of say, "Yeah, this is perfect." Actually, So rook e4.
A question from Matthew.
Instead of rook e1, it was 95.
95 instead
95
of
on move 24.
95. That is possible. Well, I suppose we are going to. Are you going to take on f4? Are you?
Yes. Yeah. That's
planning. That could be very strong.
Yes, I suppose you have to take bishop. Do you?
Yeah, I'm just. Are we ever going to get away with this? I don't know. Bishop f4. You'd love to have something discovered somewhere.
Knight c4 is a discovered something, but
that's gonna be
a powerful one.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a little bit tough to stop this guy somehow. Well, you can go bishop b8, but that would have been very strong, I think, as well. Knight e5. I think knight e5 would have been very good as well. But I would. I'm still enjoying this one. It's I thought it was really nice. Just because I always love these things where it's all about the relative power of the pieces. And this was a very nice idea because so we go rook e4, e5, queen b4, and after queen h5, You just take the bishop, and you know, and then if you look at the remaining piece,
nice placed to defend f3.
Yeah. I mean, the bishop's beautifully placed. You look at these black pieces, and they're really useless. You've got this pawn here, and just sacrificing the exchange for that bishop, it just stops the just stops any attack. So it's just a really nice. I just thought it was a really nice understanding of the the relative values of the pieces. I always love those things.
Yeah.
So Queen d6 played, just giving some more pain really for the pieces.
And if you go Queen h3, I just play King g1.
Yeah, that's just very nice and comfortable, and again, it's just the number of threats that you've got here is just huge, really. So that was very nice. So Rook d8 played, and then the finish is Bishop e4 check, g6, and Bishop takes g6 is winning there. That was a really nice game, Jack. I was enjoying that, and I think just in general terms, from the opening perspective, I think this Bishop f3, I think it is quite a risky thing, unless you can really get some play going on the dark squares, but somehow I think the way that it happened there. I guess probably a move like Rook c8 doesn't fit in too well with that. I suppose you'd say if you wanted to do this, you'd maybe just play Bishop e7 quickly, try and get castled, go Knight d5, and then
the trouble is Rook d1, and you can't actually castle.
I think I don't know. I think probably I'd sort of avoid going Bishop f3 and just play c5 and just play the normal Queen's Gambit accepted moves there. But a very interesting game. Really nice to see that one.
Thank you.
Thank you for showing that, Jack.
Yeah, good luck for the rest of the tournament, Jack.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck. And if anyone else wants to come along and show their games, they can just come down here.
That's it.
Fantastic. So that was Jack Rudd beating Matthew Force, making a good start to the tournament. I was looking through all these games. Wait a minute. There was another game that I thought was quite crazy. Although maybe it's just all.
I want to see Lan Yao against Peter Finn.
Oh, this was quite interesting. Yes, this one was quite interesting, actually. So I'm sure that this was quite big theory, because Peter knows his theory. Peter's a hard-working guy.
So Peter Finn, people, regular viewers of the channel might know as Checkmate a lot.
Exactly. So...
and Lan Yao's just back from representing England in the Olympiad, where she had a very good tournament.
Indeed. So this is actually the French Steinitz, and this is actually what Peter plays is the Engine's best line against in the French. So and there's been masses and masses of games. It's really, really concrete. So the first good thing is that Peter plays the correct move order, because Queen b6, Knight a4, Queen check c3. This is quite well known. c4, b4, and black can sacrifice a piece here. It's actually just quite good for white. But if you take on d4, obviously this possibility is not there. And then after Queen d2, then black goes all in with Queen b2. And funnily enough, in the good old days, the 1980s actually, John Nunn had a game against the Swiss IM Beat Zuger. And I do believe, now what did Beat play? He either played Knight db8, or after takes, he played Bishop b4. These were the lines at the time, and John got a really crunching win. And you'd really think that this was just wonderful for white. But the Engines, of course, came up with this move: a6, takes, Rook b3, Queen e7, Rook takes b7. And I mean, we're still following very deep theory. And this is actually a line that when Simon Agdestein, a number of years back, he was, former Norwegian #1. He was both he was the ultimate amateur, really. He was both a professional football player, played for Norway's national team, and also a very strong chess grandmaster, over 2,600. And but for some reason, nobody knows why I'm saying, but for some reason he got invited to a Super GM tournament and lead tournament where guys like Grishuk and Nakamura and all of them were playing, and Magnus, I think, as well. And he needed a black repertoire, and this was the line that he worked up, and he got fantastic results. I think even maybe +1, against the world's elite in this line, simply by knowing it very well. It's incredibly concrete, hard to deviate from it, and very hard to make something
still
of
in
it.
theory. because they haven't used much time up to this point, have they?
No, I'm sure Peter knew this. I mean, we're still in theory for another 30 moves, so it's so Queen H4 check. Queen H4 check has been played. I think even Rook C8, but Peter goes for the stockfish #1 line here, which is slightly odd. Queen D8 castles, and now I think Rook C8 has been played a lot, but actually Queen C8. This is the move. Rook FB1 and then Bishop C5. So it's quite a clever way of getting developed here. And we play F5, and now this move Bishop B5. I mean, this is all engine stuff and completely important to get right. I mean, the danger of it is I don't know whether you were watching the Olympiads, but in the last round, I think it was a top second board game. I think Ukraine against, who were they playing in the last round? I'm not quite sure, but they both whizzed out, like 30 moves of French theory. Only Black got it slightly wrong and ended up just losing completely. It was so it's quite risky. It's always quite risky. But of course, if your memory is good and if you've revised it well, then it can be a very effective way of neutralizing a stronger player. So knight takes b5 here, played a takes b5. The rook on b7 is hanging. Takes and castles, and around here they seem to start being on their own. I think, or certainly I think Peter was from now on. I mean, what have you got? Basically, you've got this position where White's still got an initiative, but you've got weak pawns. There's tension. Pawns can be exchanged. Double rooks. It's very easy for this to go to absolutely nothing. And I'm sure that that if engines were playing, then this would go to equality very, very quickly. But there's still the one thing that White's got still is this F6 move, this play on the king's side. So still some accuracy required. I mean, Peter gets his pawn back, and then Rook FC8. And the question is, is White able to get any counterplay going on the king's side? Now, what you'd really love to do here,
try and threaten mates straight away.
I knew you'd suggest that, Natasha, and
of course I
was. So Queen F4.
You were ready for it.
Queen F4. I can imagine this is a move that that you'd want to play, threatening Queen H6 and Queen G7. But can you see, Natasha, la réfutation?
Right. The audience here can help me. All right, that's fair enough. Anyone here? I will take your help. You want to get that queen back to f8, and it's going to be check if you do take that rook on c5. So something like Queen a7.
Indeed. Yeah, this is a rather nasty trick and rather important. But you go check and Queen f8, and at this stage you fold your arms and you laugh at the opponent. So like this. So I've been teaching my nephews about the value of the evil laugh. So that you can only be a good uncle if you've got an evil laugh. So in this position, Queen E3 was played. So that's a slightly more subtle way of doing stuff. Although, so the idea is that if Queen A7, we've got Rook takes C8, check. Takes and takes with the win there. So that's pretty good.
That's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen, no. So, well, Black's basically got to decide what to do here.
And he's taken on F6, checkmate a lot.
Indeed, that's quite bold.
Because what does she do? Just recapture and then she's threatening checkmate.
Yeah. Can you check? So I'm still processing this mentally somehow. I mean, to be honest, I was wondering about how bad is this ending. To be honest, I can't believe that this is bad for Black. As Mickey Gurievich always used to say, who is better and why? I'm not even sure that Black isn't better here, to be honest, because. No, of course. Sorry, but I'm a fool because after Rook takes C5, that's the whole trap. We're going Queen G5.
And now we do get the checkmate.
Cunning. Fell right for that one. So G takes F6 played. Okay, well it's maybe reasonable. Isn't there a better way of doing this? Maybe there is. Maybe queen e3 is a hyper subtle move there. Quite possibly. So g takes f6. So now, what are we going to do here? Well, e takes f6 is definitely a possibility.
Yeah, I think how does black defend?
I'm just wondering about other things. Well, I mean, there's a few ways of doing it. King h8 is the most obvious.
Right.
Just to meet queen h6 with rook g8.
And then rook c7.
Well, yeah, that's possible. I guess I'll go. Got to be a tad careful. I guess I'm going to go rook g6 here simply. I mean, obviously, if rook a7 feels natural, but then rook c8 is quite gorgeous, threatening queen g7 checkmate.
Yes.
But I think that if I go rook g6 here, I'm doing all right. I mean, I'll go queen h4 or something. Maybe go rook g8.
Yep.
Because rook f7, I'm assuming that I can cover, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
So that might be all right. Not 100% clear. I mean, I can go g3 here. And then... Well, it's not completely obvious, this. Let's have a look. Thought this was going to be easier than it's turned out. Rook g8, rook c7. Rook c7 is a natural move. Okay, so rook g6. And then let's put the queen on... I'm just wondering whether I've got a better square than h... Does it matter if I put it on h5 or h3? Is that going to give me some extra mating ideas? I don't think so. I mean, the one I was just wondering whether I could go queen h3. Takes. And just take it, but I guess this must be...
Okay, 2 rooks for queen, but you've got the check there.
No, I've got queen g6 check as well, which is rather scary as well. So it's just going to work, I think. I mean, what I could do is I could go king h1, queen c2. And now the question would be, do I have something glorious?
Rook g7.
Well, that would be the ultimate glorious, of course. Well, actually, I think I prefer to have my queen on h4. Then I think we'll do. I'll play queen h4. You'll go. Well, no, fine. It's fine. I just to go rook f7 here. I'll just to give it to you, and then I'll go rook here.
Okay. All right, got to try take. Oh, takes, pawn takes, rook takes, queen d8.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think any way you take is going to be losing, yeah, because if you take like this, I just go rook f8 and queen f6.
Yeah.
And if you go takes like this, then I'll just go queen f6 and queen f8. So it's actually quite strong. Intriguing. Wasn't actually expecting that, to be honest.
So Lisa has recaptured e takes f6.
Yeah. I wasn't actually expecting it to be this strong. Well, I think I have to go king h8. Well, king f8 is possible, I suppose. Doesn't look right.
Queen
could be, I suppose. That would be a bold move. Let's have a look. Queen h6, king e8. Choppy. And I've got queen g8 takes f7 afterwards, which is going to be rather annoying.
Maltirada is suggesting queen g5 for white, although I'm not sure exactly which move. Maybe the threat here is queen g5 for sure. Yeah,
queen g5. Yeah, that could be decent as well. Though the rooks, I mean, here I take, I guess. Yeah. Here I could probably vaguely escape. Vaguely, yeah, I'm vaguely escaping. It's still very unclear. But I could also take on, maybe means takes on c8 and queen g5. That's probably where am I? Not here. Sorry. King f8. I could take first and go queen g5. That's also possible. Yeah. But I think it'll be similar. I think. Oh yeah, but maybe better as well. Yeah, I'm not taking the h7 pawn. I'm going straight after the f7 pawn. That is possible. In all cases, looks rather pleasant for white, I have to say. So ef6. Just trying to work out where this has gone wrong. Actually, king h8. So okay, queen h6, rook g8, rook c7. We need something clever, really. That's the thing. Something clever is always a good idea. And I suppose I could just play rook f8. That would be
solid.
The big question being, is white really going to be able to do something?
Yeah. Like rook c3 and rook h3 or something.
Yeah, because the rook on f8 is hanging now. So
yeah.
The thing is, rook c3 to h3. I just go queen c2. You see, so it's not actually a threat.
Okay, put it on g3 then.
On g3. But is there a threat?
I don't know. I was thinking of putting it back in on g7.
Yeah. Again, I'm protected somehow.
Yeah.
So I guess I go queen e4 or something, and I don't think you're going to manage, to be honest. I think this one will be too quick. I mean, rook. It does feel all wrong, to be honest, but maybe it's solid enough. I mean, yeah, I can go h3. I want to go rook f4 to h4, but even then, not sure about this. I mean, there's stuff like, I don't know, queen a5 or something, and if you tried to ignore it, then you get hit by the old queen e1, queen g3 check, and queen g2. I don't know. The g-file's open against the king. Not sure. I think king h8 is the best move, unless I'm horrifically missing something. But now I'm not 100% sure how we're going to make that with white. Quite dangerous.
Fine, we'll let them work it out.
Yeah, interesting. A big theoretical game, actually. So quite interesting, that one. Should we have Nigel Davies has drawn. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was going to.
He's drawn already.
Yeah, I thought he was going to grind. Actually, I thought that was the idea. It's not very much better for white, but it is a little bit better there. But I would have thought tiny bit, or as much as you can expect from playing the London system as white. But okay, that's
the Charlie story got here. Someone was telling me he didn't have transport here and was going to have trouble getting here, but he's made it, so that's very good.
Ah, fantastic!
Good to see him.
So let's go back on the top board and see what the current situation is. Black's got the.
So when we left this a little while ago, we liked white's position quite a lot, didn't we?
We liked it very much. Yeah. The big problem was that the black bishops were very passive. Well, this one still is, but this one's got a little bit more active here. But I do think that. Oh, f5! Wow.
I'm covering the back on the queen.
That's
right.
That is a nice move, I have to say. Wowzykins. Because we've got queen takes h4 coming in as well. Well, actually, this could be really serious. Wait a minute. Ooh, wow. Okay, Queen C4. That's going to be the best move.
But white is a piece up at the moment, right? So
yeah, F takes G4. But it's just but you've managed to take with the F pawn. So now the queen, you're threatening queen takes H4 now.
Yes, I see.
All right, so this is going to be. I don't know whether this is any good, but it's a great find from Victor. Queen F7 feels like the most natural here, because I mean you've got to do something about Queen H4 really. So
Queen F7.
Queen F7 feels it's the most natural initial reaction, isn't it? So
because if you go Queen H4, isn't there like Bishop D4?
You have seen it well, young Padawan. That is absolutely true. So, yeah, Bishop D4 is completely winning. So we need something else for that. I was actually wondering about playing Queen D3. That was the one I wanted.
Yes.
Because I want to go Bishop E4 next. That's the basic idea. So, which sort of keeps my king side together a little bit. So, I mean, Queen E3 checks a big threat. So
it's check, isn't it? Yeah. So you can't do stuff like F5. So you have to move the bishop.
Yeah, I mean, if you go knight F1, I go Queen E4, which is just. So I think King F2 is possible, but feels ropey. So Bishop F2, feels like the most natural. But then I'm going to take on E4, I think. I mean, I could conceivably go Queen B1 check and Queen B2. What I'm worried about is, to be honest, is F5 then. That's what's really worrying me. Queen F2, FG being the rather irritating trick. So, yeah, I don't think that's good. So Bishop E4, I think we need to keep control of our king side here. But this is not obvious at all now for white. I mean, we can go takes, but then I take. I mean, you'd want to go Queen A7, but I don't know. I mean, there's like billions of ways now. Queen F4, for example. There's even Queen B1 takes B2. So this is not obvious at all. So I think maybe Queen F7 is too much.
Ocelot's saying Bishop A6, which I guess is for black.
Not
sure which one.
I'm not quite sure when Bishop H6 because we were playing Queen F7 to. Wait a minute. We need something clever
Queen
here.
F7 doesn't seem to be working though because of Queen.
Queen D3 looks good unless I could be missing something, but it looks quite difficult for.
Knight F5 now. Do you think?
Queen F7.
Queen F7, Queen D3.
Knight F5.
Knight F5.
Yeah, it's an idea, but I think I just take here.
You're going to take on H5.
We'll just take a draw.
And we'll go for the draw. Queen H5 and draw.
That's possible. Yeah. But we were kind of going into this assuming that Nick was considerably better. That was the but this is. It's a little bit tough. Now, yeah, the one thing I'm thinking of maybe is this move, Bishop F2. This might be more subtle. Because if we go Queen H4, then I'll go Queen F7 simply. And I'm still threatening Bishop D4 and attacking your bishop. So that must be good. So Bishop F2, and now... if you go Bishop B2, of course, I've got Queen F7 as well. So this is all good. I mean, we could just try and play something quiet and normal like Queen E7, but I'll go E5. I mean, or even F5 at some stage. So I feel more like something like this would be the idea. Hitting F2 and B2 and F4. And now... Well, now we really need... We really need something bright for white because
F5 maybe.
Well, queen takes.
And take on G6.
Yeah, then I'll just take on here, I think.
Yeah.
You don't really have you're a bit slow on the attack. I mean, I'd like to go this Queen F7 again, threatening F takes G6, but I imagine that I could probably just take on here simply. At the very least. I mean, there's maybe more moves, but because after I go knight F5, I've got Queen F4 check. And I mean, this must be a draw. I can't believe that white can avoid a perpetual in this position. So I'm not sure. This amazing idea from Victor. Really nice idea.
Now I've got to work out what this whiteboard is behind me. It's a projector screen, but I think the projector wasn't working earlier. Is what I was told.
Okay. Then do we have any other ideas? I mean, the only other idea would be to go play a move like F5 and tally ho, in we go. So okay, let's have a little look. Queen takes H4, and now we need a good move. Natasha.
Here, a good move.
Well, I think actually that Queen C7 would be a good move here.
Defending the knight and attacking the bishop.
Yeah, and we're still threatening Bishop D4. And of course, if GF, well, we've got a plethora of possibilities. Did you ever see the film Three Amigos, Natasha?
No, I haven't actually.
Oh,
yeah. Is it your recommendation?
It's definitely a recommendation. It's with Steve Martin, Chevy Chase, and another guy whose name I forget. Martin Burrows, I think.
Martin Burrows is playing in the British Championship.
Well, no, not. Yeah, that's why I'm hesitating about the name. But it was three.
He's playing Gary Lane today. Martin Burrows.
Three cowboy film actors who get called into a real life situation and have to act as heroes. So it's the immortal phrase is wherever there is suffering, you will find us. Wherever there is trouble, we'll be there. So and one of the things was plethora as well. That was it's a great film. The Queen takes G7 anyway. Is
very good, very good.
Nick has played F5. Of course he has.
Short, says Zoram. Martin Short.
Martin Short, that's the one. Yeah. I mean, it's a wonderful film, The Three Amigos. I love it. I love that film. So, and the evil villain was called El Guapo, which is the Wasp.
Okay.
So let's have a look. F5. Actually, F5 is quite a big move, I think. It's not going to be easy to deal with that one. And I'm not quite... Oh! Do I have a line? No, unfortunately not. I was thinking takes, bishop takes e4 was going to be quite nice. Because knight e4, queen e1 check is possible.
Yeah.
But there's simply bishop d4. I just don't have anything to do there.
Oh, very good, Mel. There must have been a lot of buzz around that villain.
Ha! El Guapo. He had his not very bright sidekick as well. He was always talking to him like, El Guapo. So okay, G takes F5. That doesn't feel... No. But that's a good move. It's a good move. But... is it going to be enough? Aren't we just going to have something like Queen F7 in this position? I mean, knight takes F5. We can throw in a good old-fashioned Queen D1 check, which I'm not 100% sure about. King H2, there's Bishop E5 check, which would be awkward. And if Queen D1, King H2, King F2. King F2 is the one I'm slightly more worried about.
Yeah.
Well, that might even be quite good.
Knight F5 has been played.
Yeah, it has been played. Maybe that's good enough. I was wondering whether Queen F7 was even stronger with, keeping all these sort of threats in reserve, but probably Knight F5 is good enough, I think. Question is, can we do something like Bishop E5? No, we've got Queen F7 takes H5. That's yeah. No, I think that was just well spotted by Nick.
Okay.
I mean, G3, that we can just go knight takes G3. We've got 2 extra pawns. That should be fine. Because against Queen D1, King F2, the king's actually quite safe. So yeah. So I think Nick's doing quite well there. Let's have a look how Mark is getting on. Oh, good lord! Mark played Queen E7.
Thanks for the follow, Namiandum.
Queen E7. He just.
Queen E7.
So he just let the light square bishops be exchanged.
Yes. Oh, because we were talking about the bishop going back to C8 to avoid it all.
Yes, indeedy. So he went knight H4. 100% sure about that one. Knight B5. B3. That's not bad. Just getting everything involved. The white piece is playing quite nicely here, actually. Actually, it's Mark's got to be a bit careful here because stuff is collapsing a bit as well. So King H8 played. Rook
Looks
G3.
like Neil's in big time trouble now.
Yeah, it looks like it. He always was.
Actually, yeah. No, he does get in trouble.
So Queen F3, F4. Mark's under big pressure here. Takes Queen E4. So look at that. Lovely control from actually this is virtually winning, I think, for white. So C takes B4, takes knight takes. Mark grabs a pawn. Knight F5.
This is being FIDE rated. Yes.
Ooh, and now a nice move.
We're in the room, so any questions on FIDE rating, we have a definitive answer.
So G4 played here. A nice move in principle. Don't know whether G3 would be stronger, but just trying to open up the G file, So knight A6 played by Mark. Rook A1. Rook A1 was that the right way to play? I wonder. I'm wondering whether just G takes H5 was better, just to play Queen G2, Queen G5 maybe. Not sure. Rook A1, Knight C5, Queen G2, A6, Knight C3. Takes, King H7, King H2. Oh, look at this. Really dangerous for Mark. My goodness.
Gosh, he's in trouble,
Bishop
right?
H6, Queen H5. He might be in trouble. Rook F8, Knight E7, F3
He's been having such a good year, Mark. I mean, he's been having an amazing year. He's like English seniors champion, English champion, and world champion for seniors teams.
Yeah,
but he could be in trouble here.
I think he's end
of his good run.
I think he's surviving. I think White didn't quite manage to keep the control somehow in time trouble. But this is quite sharp. So, I mean, what he's done, he's given himself F4. That's the key thing. And he's also going to have moves like Knight D3, for example, to sort of cause some trouble here. Now, I mean, the most obvious move to start with is Rook G6 for White rather. I mean, I think that forces Queen F4, and we go back to actually Rook G3. Come to think of it, are we forcing a draw here at least? That is a distinct possibility.
Who's forcing the draw? White.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm just seeing whether we've got minimum forced draw before looking for anything more. Is there a threat though? It's not 100% clear, even though it looks terrifying.
I don't know the draw you're talking about. Is this?
Well, if I went Queen F6, Rook G6, Queen F4, Rook G3, that's what I'm. Or Queen F7, Rook G6, Queen F4, Rook G3. That's what I'm thinking about. Yeah. Because I'm just wondering whether I've got a real threat here. I think I probably do. I mean, what is Black going to do in this position if you don't? I mean, I'm threatening Queen G6 and then Queen somewhere. So
Rook F6.
Yeah, Queen E8.
That looks scary.
Or knight g8 even, actually.
Yeah.
Even knight g8 was quite worrying. I would have thought, to be honest, that this would be a draw. I can't imagine that black can do anything more than... Because, I mean, if I play a move like queen d2, for example, I could even... I mean, I'm not even looking any further. I could do this, for example. Rook takes this queen g8. So, I mean, I think that's definitely... I think white could definitely claim to have a draw minimum here. The question is whether you've got any more than this. The problem for white is that rook g6 is very tempting, but after this, if you play something like king h1, then probably black can play knight d3, I'm guessing.
Oh, they're on move 40 as well, aren't they? So
yeah,
Neil
so
will get a chance.
I'm guessing that he gets extra time now to... this is not very clear.
Yeah, confirmed. Useful having Matt Carr in the room.
I could simply play knight e4 here. Golly. Oh, this is possibly very bad. This is possibly very bad. Let's have a look. Well, rook g6 looks like the completely obvious. We've only got one move, which is queen f4 check, because anything else is just terrible. And then I'm just going to play the king back to h1. Now, what is my threat here? That's not 100% easy to say. So maybe what black should just be doing, obviously something like queen here, I go rook g1 with tempo, which is annoying. And after here, I've got queen check and whatever. So I don't think you want to do that. But what if black just went...
Right. Could you just bring your knight in?
Well, this is the problem. If you go knight d3, I was going knight e4. That's the problem. You bring your knight in, lets me get my knight in. And this is really serious, I think, because we're going to have knight g5 check threats.
Yeah.
So I think that what we should do, if we're going to do, if we're just going to assume I can just wait, we should just do something like a5 maybe, or b5. I'm not sure quite which. And just say, I'm just going to queen my pawn and then show me what you've got.
Okay.
Captain, it's very cool up there. He's looking as if it's all okay.
You've seen him, seen how he's acting at the board.
He's just sort of sitting
there, looking calm. Yeah,
under control.
Very good. You can't tell what's going on under the surface, though. Yeah,
he's a good poker player.
Yeah,
he's a good poker player.
Yeah.
Let's have a think. So, well, I mean, we could go rook to g1, threatening queen g6. So I think that queen f6 is generally the only defense there. Now, the question is, can we do something sneaky and clever? As sneaky and clever as Sylvester Sneakley in The Adventures of Penelope Pitstop. It's not obvious.
So what do you think? Yeah. We're going to get this knight on e7 somewhere good, right?
Well, I think it's on e7. It's already as good as possible. I'd like to do something more with my knight on c3, to be honest. But it's not 100% easy.
It can only go backwards at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, bringing it round to d1, e3, g4 would be quite tempting. But I'm wondering whether I can really do this. Well, let's give it a try. I mean, if I go knight d1, I'm a bit worried about knight e4. That's the thing. I don't know whether I'm right to be worried about that, but it feels vaguely worrying.
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking about is going rook g4. Just to stop that. So then I'll go b4, knight d1, I'll go b3. Then the question is
quite menacing.
The question is, do I have? Well, because I'm gonna move too late, right? Because I come here, b2, knight g4, and I'm ready to deliver mate, but then b1 queen is mate. So I'm not sure about it. I mean, the other thing I could do is to play h4 here, which is not stupid. With the idea that if queen f4, then I go king here.
Ah, yes.
And I mean, the big idea of it the big idea of h4, quite apart from that, obviously, you know, if you go knight d3, then I go knight e4, at the very least. You know, I've probably also got queen g6 as well there, but I can cover everything because oh wait a minute, no, queen e4. Then you're covering everything. But I think knight d3, I could probably just go check and take here. That would be good enough. I don't think you've got anything. But after h4, the idea, I've actually got a very sneaky idea here, which is to play. So, for example, imagine we go b5. I'll go rook g6, queen f4, king h3.
Yeah.
You go b4, and then I want to go rook g5.
What are you trying to do?
Queen g6 check takes h6.
Yeah.
So I think you should probably go back to f6. And now, do I have something glorious? Not sure. Can't actually see it. What I could do, though, is to go knight to d1. Always got to check that these lines are not right, but they all seem to be working all the time because I've got check here. So I go knight to d1, you go b3, I go knight to e3, you go b2, I go knight to g4. Ha-ha!
Oh, and it's not check this time. Yeah.
However, do I have anything here? I'm not sure I do, to be honest, because the queen's actually covering everything here.
Yeah. And black's threatening mating too.
Yeah.
Oh, not
Yeah, I think it's important to play b5. The only thing I'm wondering about is whether, you know, whether I could just take it and then come back later. I'm not sure about that. That might conceivably. So maybe I should just say, okay, I'm going to play a5 then.
Yeah.
And we'll just. Problem is, yeah, okay. But if I want to move my knight, yeah, okay, that's fine. All right, so okay, so I'll go rook g6, queen f4 check, king there, a4, rook g5, queen f6. And now with white, I need to find the magic ingredient. I can probably win the queen, but I'm not convinced that this is going to be enough. I mean, I could play knight f5, a3, rook g7 check. That would be possible. Although king g8, rook g6, queen f5 is check, so that's not that good. Knight f5 doesn't really feel like.
So can white still bail out for a draw here?
Yeah, always, I think. You could always find some way to... I mean, I suppose what you could do is just to go... Maybe you could go rook g6 check and just rook takes d6 here. Because I'm threatening queen g6 takes h6. The question is whether, you know, you've got any... That's the nice thing of having the king on h3. It's, you know, vaguely safe. On h1, you're always getting checked or whatever. But this actually looks quite strong. Because rook f8, I think I go queen e8. Well... It's not 100% clear over, but I mean, black's under a lot of pressure here. I quite like h4, I have to say. I do think that's quite a decent move. Maybe a better idea for black is to go e4. Rook g6, queen f4, king there. Then we just say e3.
Okay.
Well, that's actually some counterplay. Ah, pardon me. How do we deal with that? That's maybe not bad, actually. That's maybe not bad. Okay. So then maybe, he's gone king h1.
H1, that's not where we thought.
That's possible too. Okay, we'll go e4 then. We'll go e4.
Ah, Chris. Hello, are you going to show us your game?
Well, we're hoping to analyse.
Come and analyse with us. Yeah. Right. Okay, we've got
the analysis room because of the blitz.
Okay.
Chris, come and join on the stream.
Okay.
You're streaming now.
Are we
right.
streaming?
Yes, we are. Sit down. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Here.
Well,
you can
you pull out all your options, okay, so that we can imagine that there's not people watching.
Okay. Yeah.
Don't swear though.
So this is Grandmaster Chris Ward.
Hello.
Hello.
Really? Oh, right.
Oh, it's Matthew's there.
Don't know him at all.
Okay, brilliant. So so I'm here with my opponent, Matthew. We were actually just looking for the analysis room, but apparently it's closed, so we're just analysing it with you.
We'll do a quick look through your game.
My opponent's in the front row as well, so he's
fair enough.
Martin Walker is going to join us.
Okay.
Do you want me to go on one side and you on the other?
I'll go there.
Or are you going to go in them? I'll go in them. So Matthew, so this was
Come right in.
Come on in.
Oh, well.
Matthew, are you there or are you frozen?
I'm there.
No,
I'm there.
okay.
I'm there.
Oh,
you're just a little bit to me, but yeah.
Okay, if you could twitch your nose to make sure that we know you're not frozen.
Yeah, you're freezing for me actually, so it's a little bit.
Oh, okay, it's fair. I can tell you, it's far from freezing in this building.
Move up.
Right. Okay. Now here we go. Right. So
there we go.
It's all very cozy. Right. Okay.
H4, Chris. H4.
Yeah, that was a mouse slip.
Right, yeah. Oh, you were aiming to play H3 then, Chris.
I think somebody just told me apparently that's what the computer likes to do. So, Matthew, I don't know if that is possible.
Yeah, no, stop at low depths. This is Stockfish's main move. When it's low depths,
I think there's not two better words to describe me than low depth actually. So I think that's fine. So H4. So I played there.
Yeah. Now. Peter Roberson actually played this against me in a Foreign online game last year.
Right.
And I played it all wrong. He ended up getting an H5 and H6, and my position very nice.
It's possible I saw
I've looked at it since then, and I realised that if black plays it properly, he should be all right. I played it properly for about 7 or 8 moves.
I'd be surprised if this is the refutation of chess, basically. Yeah. But okay, my opponent, so he played Bishop G7, and I played my knight out to C3 now.
Yeah,
that's right. So. And then black played D5 because he's keen to do the Grunfeld.
Yes. I think knight H3. Knight H3 is what real men play, Chris. That's
knight H3. Oh, now I know about that.
Looking for knight F4 and H5, but
yeah. The problem is there's children watching, and I tell them not to make unnecessary pawn moves and knights on the rim of dim. So to get away with 1 maybe, but 2, I'm not sure how I could do that. So knight C3. That's okay. D5, and so then I thought, well, I put my pawn somewhere. I might as well keep going with it.
Knight takes H.
Knight takes H. Yeah, I think that is an improvement on your previous games.
Yes,
basically.
Oh, absolutely.
So there have been a couple of games. I think there was a Vashila Graf game or so. Nepo against whatever. Knight takes H5. So this had all occurred. C takes D5.
Yeah.
And I'll let you into a little secret here. I had once upon a time a little look over about the move E6 here.
Oh, right.
But I did wonder in my mind, I thought, well, hang on, why can't they just go C6? But I think I had an engine looking at it. It didn't suggest C6. So I thought, so I think, so E6.
So there's something wrong with C6?
No, but probably not. But I noticed that after the move E6, in this position here, which is possible.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I could just take it and play e3 or whatever. But I think White could also go e4 here. I kind of vaguely noticed I could go e4, ed, and then e5.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the problem is in this line, I think you Black's got the chance at some stage maybe to try and go c5 somehow. Right. So I thought, well, we might get a similar position, which is what we did after c6. And that's what inspired me into. So he played c6.
Yeah.
So I didn't really look. So what happens if I take on c6? Are we going to take on d4? Or are we going to?
Yeah, I was going to take on d4 without a doubt.
Right. Okay. So
I'm not afraid of the queen swap knight b5 because I just go bishop b6. Right. So I thought that was fair enough. Okay. No, if you'd played d6 here, I'd done the queen takes d immediately.
Yeah. Yeah, I think even knight c6 probably wouldn't be so bad either. I think so.
Sure.
No, I think e4 is much more sensible. I think that's.
So I played. Yeah. So I went. So here's where you think you could have done e5. Oh my god.
I played cd and he played e5, and really my knight on h5 became a permanent problem. I think probably I should have played e5 actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
E5 simply so that my knight isn't in any danger of getting trapped.
But can I take that pawn on e5 and just develop a knight or something?
Well, okay, I play bishop takes e.
Pawn takes. Okay,
yeah.
So
not sure.
Bishop takes.
Knight f3. It feels like I might get some development going.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, because there's loads of violent options as well. I would have thought, even I don't know, g4.
Oh, g4.
H5,
yeah.
H5, even, I don't know. Yeah, I was just
knight f4.
Just vague. Yeah, knight f4. I want to. I want to either take or center. Take. Not sure.
Oh, I could take it and just play some sensible moves. Actually, couldn't I?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's.
I don't know. I'm not sure, but I think d takes e5 would be. I think this is quite nice for White in principle. I would have thought, to be honest. But,
yes.
You know.
Okay.
Okay. So I went. So what we did is, have you got any other moves other than c takes d? Probably not. Then.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Well, I mean, knight f6.
So CD.
Well, knight f6 is a possibility, I suppose. You know, but it's not completely.
Then maybe I could take on.
Yeah. Then you'll probably take on c6, and yeah, I'm not sure. Some sort of strange Grunfeld ready. I don't know. Yeah, bishop e. Well, got maybe knight g4 then. I don't know.
G4, yeah.
But it feels like White should be. I mean, probably knight f3, bishop g4, bishop e3 would be probably decent. I think.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, I think this is probably quite good.
Okay.
C takes e5.
So then I went e5, yeah.
Which I must confess I completely overlooked.
Oh.
I didn't even see it was a possibility.
That was my idea.
Once he played it, I realized what a good move it was. I mean, White's just simply threatening g4.
Yeah, so I think you have to go bishop f8.
If I do f5 or something, you just play bishop e2 and win with check.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just horrible. So I had to do bishop f8. And at this point, memories of the Roberson game came back into
right.
The difference there, of course, was
I thought he did it voluntarily.
That's right. And I thought, well, at least I've got a pawn for my pain. So I suppose it's just a chance to keep it there.
So I figured I didn't really need to go into things like rook takes h5 here. I don't know whether I would get any sort of compensation, but I figured, why do I need to take that knight? That wasn't really the plan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So why? So I played. I don't know why if I played the best move here or not. What did I play? Queen f3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to get you to go e6, I think, basically. And
right.
That was to give you a bit of a duff bishop. Yes. But I still thought it wasn't about, I thought you could go e6. And then the idea, I thought you could develop your bishop from c8 to d7 before going knight c6. So I couldn't go bishop b5 to drop off that knight.
What? You're saying bishop d7 now?
So you could go e6. E6, for example.
Oh, I see, e6. Right, okay.
Yeah.
And if I played something like g4 on bishop h6, which we might in the game, maybe I thought you could you go bishop d7 here?
Right.
Yeah.
To stop me from doing a positional idea of bishop knight c6, bishop b5, knight e2.
Yeah.
Sure.
See, I wasn't too sure at this stage whether I was going to go knight h3 to g5 or knight. Yeah, so probably I could. Yeah, I think probably I could do that here. It feels like I'm getting good play, doesn't it?
Yes.
I mean, even queen f6 at some stage is going to be really dangerous.
Yeah, you might have to go rook g8 just to do then.
I can always But I can always cash in a little bit. It's still.
Straight away. Yeah. Okay. So
now, when you play Queen F3, I thought I've got to counterattack. I've just got to develop some pieces.
Okay.
Play Knight C6. I thought it was my only option.
So Knight C6, interesting move.
Yeah, I thought give it a go, see what happens. And I thought, well, at least now I don't have to play E6. At least I can play Bishop E6, and I'm okay. It's fairly crummy. I did consider A6 actually.
Yeah, take a little time out to stop me from. But can I take that pawn on D5 now if you didn't go Bishop E6?
Well, no, A6
yeah.
attacking the bishop.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, well, obviously I would have taken trying to get some.
Would you take? Wouldn't you go on Bishop A4 to B3? Because I mean that sort of forces E6 anyway, doesn't it?
Yeah, maybe. For some reason, this was. A6.
I mean, you.
But then my bishop. But then my bishop's not so good on B3. Maybe.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I mean, the question now is my king exposed because my queen supports are weak, or is it that I've got serious counterplay with Rook B8 and Queen A5?
Well, the truth is, I didn't know whether I was going to be playing on the king's side or the queen's side.
Oh, right.
I didn't know whether I was trying to be some Rook C1, Knight A4 type thing ultimately, or G4, Knight H3 to G5. I wasn't really sure. I thought I might be a bit greedy to do both of them, but. So
I guess if you can get the knight round to E6, that would be a big improvement.
That would be ideal.
Yes, I mean that would be.
That was my aim. In fact, when after Knight C6, when he played Bishop B5, I did actually seriously consider playing Knight G7 immediately.
I was thinking. I was actually thinking about this. Yeah, it might be. It might not have been a silly idea, really. I mean, the knight can also go to. Sorry, knight takes D5.
Yeah. Oh, can I take with the queen? If I took with the queen, what Bishop E6? No. Oh, well, okay, but
maybe.
Oh no, sorry, C6.
Unless that's a pawn sack.
I could take like that, I suppose.
Knight F3.
Bishop D7. Yeah.
To figure out what he's going. He's threatening knight takes E5 here.
Yeah, I've got my knight E5 trick in there, which might actually
might come to something. Actually, yeah. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I did seriously consider this, but I thought, well, Bishop E6, I thought, well, maybe I can just hold on somehow and, my pawn will actually do something about a million years.
Yeah, so maybe that was an idea. What did you play? You played Bishop E6.
Bishop E6,
Well, you were trying to get your Queen D7, Bishop was covering the G4 square.
That's right, yeah.
So Bishop E6, and then I played
Knight
E2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I thought here that by playing Queen D7, I thought I was running out G4 permanently. In fact, it turned out I wasn't. So I just misunderstood the position there.
Although you did get me to spend an awful lot of time over these Knight C5 ideas. When you take on, it was a bit complicated for me.
Yeah.
So this is what we had, mate. So if we keep going for a little bit, in the Queen D7, Knight A4, Bishop G4. So of course, my first game back since the 2019 British Championships, back in Torquay, and you got me trying to calculate all these queen to various squares. Bishop takes
this
knight.
Is your first over the board game for 3 years.
Over the board tournament. I've played 8 London League games in that time against 170 graded players.
Okay.
So no offense to the audience, I've said to me there. Well, I was just.
I must confess, I was much more worried here about Queen C3 actually, because Knight C5 is a quite serious threat, I think.
So I looked, it was okay. So it's crazy because I could even go Queen B3, couldn't I?
Yes.
And then Bishop E2, Knight C5. That was some sort of nuts variation.
That's right. And I was probably computer,
but you can move your queen over to kind of G4 type area, so it's quite murky. And also, there's a Bishop B5. You could go Bishop C4 straight.
Bishop C4.
That's why I think maybe I have to put my queen on C3.
Ah, yes. Queen C3.
Queen on a different square. But in the end, I thought I had an advantage just by doing pretty much what I did.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I sort of breathed a sigh of relief when he played Queen E3 and then realized I was still a lot worse.
Yeah, so Bishop, so this is what happened. So you have to really take that knight, otherwise F3
just getting buried.
And I just took it back. Yeah.
Yeah. And now I've got to play E6 to stop Knight C5.
Yeah.
I mean B6.
This is quite nasty.
Yes. Yes, and I realise now that knight on G7 was a permanent problem because I can't really put my king anywhere, and that's a problem.
Yeah. And you can't ever go A6, obviously. That's also an issue.
That's right. So, I mean, I played Rook G8 just simply hoping if bishop takes g7, rook takes g7.
But Chris didn't take it.
No, he didn't. Well, he didn't have to. I mean, he could just leave it there as a sort of long-term threat.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was. Now this is horrific. Now, yeah.
Yes. I should think the computer probably says about +5 now.
Right, so and now I quite like rook h3. That was quite nice,
right?
Because I was swizzling over to the other side.
Yeah, making good use of that 3h4. You know.
Yeah, 3h. It's about time that has come.
If you were Anakin, you'd be claiming that you'd already foreseen this position. You know. Already at move 3, and that
I'd already foreseen this position.
Right,
I
see. So the whole idea of h4 is to play rook h3 15 moves later.
Yeah, 15 moves later.
This is what you have to see to be a GM, folks.
The only thing I had to remember is I couldn't go rook h c3 whilst bishop b4 was an option.
That's right.
So you played rook c8 here. Did you go rook c8?
Yes, I did.
So here, see, I wasted valuable time over whether to go a3 or king f1. But I figured king f1 might dissuade you from those f6 moves.
Right.
So
king f1 looks good.
So I gave that a go, and now. So I think I couldn't really see many moves. I thought you probably should go for f6 anyway, but I felt it looked pretty grim.
Yes. Well, the problem with f6 is after swapping, you've got knight c5.
Yeah, and then you have to go quite. You have to slide over to. Well, it's sort of falling, but I have to take the knight in order for it to fall. Don't I did think. Don't get me wrong. I would assume there'll be some tactic that would win it, like queen e7 or something here, and then
just see some
rook across, maybe.
Yeah, that's an idea.
Yeah, but if maybe if you go rook e3, you can go bishop takes d4. Mate. I don't know.
I mean, maybe you should just simply take.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this should be good, but that's why. But I thought,
and you can.
It's probably the best.
Now takes you with a huge positional bind.
Yeah. I just thought this would give you one chance to get a little bit of freedom. I'm not saying it's great freedom,
sure,
but once we got one more move, I don't think you could do it then.
Yes.
So what did you play? You played
Queen c7.
So here I just simplified. I thought bishop c6 and queen a6 just so I could slide my rook to b3. And
that's right, keeping the initiative.
Yeah, this is pretty.
And I mean, now I think I'm dead and buried. Rook b3 to b7. Well, a combination of rook c3 and rook takes c6.
Yeah.
Or rook b3 to b7.
Yeah, because you could try some king. Actually, after king d7, I thought I could even just go bishop g7, rook g7, then rook b3.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. I assumed you wouldn't want a fianchettoed
rook. My rook's out of the game.
Fianchettoed rook.
Yes, that's right.
So we're not far off. So bishop c6, queen a6. So he played
c5.
C5.
I mean, it's desperation, but what can I do?
Yeah. So I didn't know whether to go rook b3 or here or knight c5. I thought they were both quite good.
Yeah.
But in the end, I decided to keep it simple.
Yeah.
But maybe rook b3 is objectively better. I don't know. Knight c5. So take. Queen. Was it queen c6? Yeah.
Just hoping some tactics based on queen takes a.
Yeah. So you don't. Yeah. So you don't have a chance even for bishop c5 because of rook b8.
That's right.
So f6. I must admit I didn't see f6, but I don't think it makes much difference. Yeah. Ef. Bishop f6. I think it's kind of winning by force. Rook b8. King. When bishop. If king f7, rook b7, bishop e7. That's what I thought you'd do. But I figured here I could just go rook takes a7 actually.
Yeah.
Is that what I just thought? Just take that pawn.
Yeah, maybe also rook c3. I think maybe.
Oh yeah, that's also possible, isn't it?
Also,
but I figured he couldn't actually move his g8 rook.
Yeah,
because I could take on g7 anywhere other than e8.
That's right. I mean, really, that knight on g7 was my permanent problem.
It was a problem.
If someone got into the game via e8 and c7, then I might have been in business, but I never could, or at least I never did. So whether I could have done it or not, I don't know, but I never did.
So we're nearly there, just a couple of moves. So instead of that, it was king d8, bishop g5. I figured rook d6, knight b7, rook d7, rook c8. I thought was kind of winning that piece.
Yeah.
Seemed to be ganging up on it. And the knight is still on g7, as you pointed out.
Yeah.
So, So I don't know where, did we find you? So probably your improvement somewhere is not to do. Well, you can do e6 instead of c6. I don't. Is that a novelty c6? I don't know if we could. There's probably no way to check out c6. Maybe it's a novelty.
I can have a quick check.
Worth looking at.
Let me have a look.
So it looks like what I actually did, allowing e5 was possibly the best I had.
Yes.
I mean, at the time, I thought e5 giving my knight a square was good, but in fact, it works out that you've just got.
But if this doesn't end up too good, then you have to maybe e6 instead of c6.
Yeah.
But amazingly, this has been played quite a bit.
What?
Oh.
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh man!
Even Queen f3 has been played already after Bishop f8.
Bishop
b5 is a novelty, Chris.
Oh, look at that!
Oh,
Bishop
well.
b5. It's probably a
Bishop
bit dull.
b3 was a previous game 40 against Marinone.
Right,
2010, amazingly enough.
Good friends of ours, yeah.
Oh yeah. Those guys are, they're great, but not quite of the required standard. So well, thank you very much, Matthew. So I think that was it.
I think that's pretty much, yeah.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, good to see everybody here.
Yeah.
Good to see Matthew. We'll leave you to it, Natasha.
Thank
you. Take care. Bye.
Funnily enough, I think the last time I played, you was also in the British Championships, Scarborough 2002. Oh my God! I don't think you played since then. Oh, there we are.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Shall we head back to some other games? What about Danny Gormalley's? How's that one going? Oh, he's won it already.
Hebden Bradbury is a draw,
did draw.
in actual fact.
Yes.
So actually pretty much with the draw that we sort of analysed. So that's pretty good. Let's have a look. What else have we got? Top board. Oh, this is going to be a long ending. Nicholas Pert against Viktor Stoyanov.
Okay, he's 2 pawns up though.
2 pawns up. The question is, are you going to be able to keep all of those? That is the question.
One of them's heading for a white square.
Oh, wait a minute, because I mean, you could conceivably go bishop takes g3 here.
Oh, right. Is there a fork of the other bishop? So king takes.
I go check here.
Yep.
And then if you go queen f3, I've got queen d6. That's the key idea.
There is a fork.
So you could go, this is a little bit awkward then. So I guess, well, I mean, the question is really, I suppose king to h4 would be the best one. We go queen a3. And then the question is, do you have a mate or not?
Can I have a volunteer? Yeah, you're on. I'm going to the loo. Just can you take over for a minute?
What do I need to do? Just sit there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a draw unless there's a checkmate.
Well, I think there's probably a checkmate here, to be honest. If I'm honest with you, I think queen d5 check, because king f8, there's bishop c5. King
fork.
h7, I go queen f7 check. King h6. Ooh. There's no bishop e3. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure at all. I'm not
dangerous
sure
to go for that, though, wouldn't it?
It would be pretty dangerous to go for that. No, I mean, I wouldn't. There might be a better way of doing it as well. I would have thought. Thing is, of course, White's got loads of checks. So if you don't, I don't know. So I'm not sure whether there's a good holding move for Black in this position. I don't, because I mean, queen c2 check, king h3. I mean, queen c8, I've got queen g4 check, which is just a win. So I don't know. I'd be tempted to spend some time calculating this anyway.
Maybe it's the best chance, right? And you just hope there isn't a checkmate.
Yeah, I mean, that might be an approach.
He's only got 7 minutes?
Well, it's just had move 40, so I'm not sure.
Oh, they might have another 30 added on.
Yeah, they might have a bit of extra time there. Yeah. Because I mean, I think you've got to. I think h4 really is the square. I think you've got to go there, because if you went to f4, then we'd have queen d6 check again. So I think the number of squares that white's got are probably quite small. I think it's got to be there, and then we just go queen a3, and then afterwards we just say.
Nationals are back on.
Yeah, I'm back.
Queen check.
Put on some muscle.
Queen f7, king h6.
Bishop d4. Plan.
Oh God, there's no stalemate tricks. This is ridiculous. He hasn't done it. Maybe this is just winning. I was expecting I was going to have some stalemate tricks, but there don't seem to be any at all.
No, this is good.
Yeah, he's gone queen c2, but I think king h3 is going to be... It's going to be a long one, I think, but I think this is going to work out for white in the end.
Should we see some games we haven't looked at yet?
Indeed.
So
John Ems against Stephen Jones. We are grinding. So white is quite a bit better there. Weak pawn on d6, weak pawn on b7, battery along the diagonal. That's quite dangerous, really. That's quite dangerous. Tom Villiers against Ezra Kirk.
Okay. It's nearly over.
That's a lot of material. Yeah. That's a lot of material.
I'm surprised they're still playing even.
Yeah. No, strange.
Yeah. Okay.
Richard Pert against Matthew Payne.
Okay, so Richard Pert being the twin brother of Nick Pert, whose game we looked at just now.
It's pretty good for white, but it's going to need some work. So this king's got potential to run away and escape, really. So in principle, white's doing very nicely there. So you'd expect that to be a win for white, I think.
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
We see, I think Kata, is Kata playing? I think she's playing. Keith's finished.
Keith's finished. Jonah Willow here against Robert Eames.
Jonah Willow, yes. Let's see, Jonah Willow against Bob Eames.
Oh, I think, it's a win for black, indeed. That's...
Okay.
Yeah, wow, that's a bit of a shock there.
Good win for Bob.
Good win for Bob there, absolutely.
Yes. Jonah's been playing really well recently, hasn't he?
Yeah, no, that's right. Let's have a look. Harry Grieve.
David Eggleston.
Against Alfred Onslow.
Let's see that.
Quite an unclear ending there.
So this is tricky, isn't it?
Should probably be a...
So these black pawns advancing.
Probably a draw, you would have thought. You'll get enough pawns going, but that's going to be a very complicated ending. Very complicated indeed. We've got David Eggleston against Mike Waddington. That's going to be a long one, I think. David Eggleston a pawn up, but King's weak as well. So no, this is looking very strong, I think. Probably Queen f6 check is very, very good already. So David Eggleston.
It's Martin Burrows, though. You mentioned him earlier against Gary Lane.
Gary Lane,
which was the next one.
Gary is going to win that, I would have thought. I'm sure that must be winning for...
Oh, a queen against two rooks. Yeah.
Is that going to be winning? Well, as long as the black king's a bit badly placed, unfortunately, that's a little bit annoying.
Okay, we've had a request for Tom Villiers' game. I think we did touch in on there just a second ago, but let's just
He's just lost there. That one.
Oh, he lost. He lost. Yes, material was bad. Yes.
It was a sub.
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
He's been working hard this week. I think he's been doing all sorts of coaching and some stuff here.
Burrows, and then we've got 2 games.
Oh, have you just? Did you win, Phil? A draw. Oh, a request to see the seniors board 1, which is Paul Motwani and Phil Crocker.
I would have brought Paul, but we went.
Yeah. Okay. I don't exactly know where it is, Natasha.
Okay. It is on here. Don't worry if you don't have it to hand.
Board 11.
Board 11. Okay, on the seniors.
No, it's not in the standard.
Oh, is what? Oh, there's the seniors.
11 in the standard.
That's a request. Okay, we'll do that next. Board 11 in the standard. Yes, this is it. Board 1 here.
That was a draw.
Phil. Yes. Yeah, Phil's here. Could have a quick look at that.
No, I drew.
Board 11 is Michael Stinton Brownbridge against Chris Regan.
Oh, sorry, Matthew. It's board 1 is Phil Crocker against Paul Motwani, and so we've got Phil Crocker here. He got a draw with some doubled e pawns there.
Very positional.
A positional draw.
He accepted my draw for.
Let's have a look. Yeah, this is very similar actually to Luke against Hami Vitecci in the.
Is that what you were following? If you're doing your game, you can come on.
So
no, Paul was thinking for spending a lot of time on his first even 5 or 6 moves, so I don't think any of us was following specific games.
Yeah, this is Bishop C5.
I couldn't think of anything better than doing Bishop C5, and Paul thought.
I guess Bishop H6 would be more what I'd be looking for. I think just to try and weaken this E5 pawn it just feels a bit just to give up the the 2 bishop side.
The knight on C5 is very strong though, with possibilities of like Rook D8, maybe Bishop H6 in some lines.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think if we go Bishop H6 here.
That meant no.
No, I gathered that.
I know Rook D8. I mean, I could take and go maybe Queen G5 here or something.
Yeah.
Hit the pawn on E5. H6. I've got knight
F5. Knight F5.
Wow. H5.
No, sorry, knight F5.
So I don't know. I'd say that Bishop H6 is more typical of this line, really. But Bishop C5. Takes Queen E3. Wow, that's a move.
Is that a compliment?
I'm not sure. If, but Paul didn't take it. Okay, he waited a little while. Knight D7, Knight F1, Rook E8, Knight D2. Yeah. It's pawns are a bit weak, really.
White pawns or black pawns, or both?
White pawns, really. They're quite. Yeah, wouldn't have been my choice to do that, but yeah, swapping off the knight's not a bad idea. I think that's probably quite useful. Bishop F8 takes. F2, King G7, G4. It's going to be a tough one for black to break through. I mean, white's got obviously quite a few light squares on the queen side, so pretty well entrenched there. And F5, of course, is going to be quite awkward to achieve. So actually, Paul didn't really. Bishop C8, Knight D2, Bishop B6, Bishop B2. Yeah, he didn't really make any progress there at all, did he? So and here you're almost guaranteeing the swapping off of the bishops. So Bishop D7. I suppose black could play Bishop D7 still. Might be possible, I suppose. I guess even Bishop C4 here could be quite irritating.
Yeah, it was interesting. So Paul thought he was quite a bit worse going into this endgame. I mean, not massively worse, but he thought it was a little bit worse.
And you thought you were?
Well, I thought I was worse. If I thought that he thought he was worse, I would have.
Then a draw looks like a likely result. Yeah.
15 moves earlier, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think
it's
Black
your final round then in the scene tomorrow.
Yeah. I do think Black must be a little bit better here with these, with these weak pawns and all that. But White's very well entrenched on the queen side. The c4 square and stuff like that. So, yeah, and if Black doesn't manage to get h5 quickly to stop g4, doesn't manage to get the king side rolling, then it's always going to be very difficult for Black to get anything going. But yeah, I would have been a bit uncomfortable with White going in for this because I think in general, it's a decision where you're going for a draw and not that much more, really. But funny to think that Paul thought he was worse there. That's quite intriguing, really.
Yeah, I found it very surprising. Anyway,
so you guys level for?
Yeah, so I think it's quite exciting in the over 50s. I think there might be 5 or so of us all on the same score, equal first.
Wow!
So who's that? You, Paul.
So
Paul Motwani,
Paul Motwani, Paul Dargan, Chris Duncan, and Paul Townsend.
Okay.
3 Pauls,
yeah.
1 Phil and 1 Chris. And there might be someone else.
So there's 60% chance that a Paul is going to win the seniors.
Well, if you consider everyone's sort of equal standards, if you allow for the Grandmaster elements. Then...
More than 60%.
Well, it depends if Paul plays Paul, but Paul's...
Oh, yeah. Okay. Anyway, yes. Good luck then tomorrow.
Well, thank you. Thanks for the review of the game.
So we could have 3 draws on the top boards.
Yes.
Sort of share between.
It could be a 5-way share, couldn't it? They'd do some kind of tie break and.
No. Apparently,
it is shared.
There doesn't seem to be any certainty, but apparently it may just be shared. The title.
Okay. Well, I think that is your research.
Yeah.
That's your prep for tomorrow. Is work out if you want to get equal first, or whether you need to get a tie break. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Good luck. Good luck tomorrow. Okay. We've had 2 requests. So one request is for board 11 in the championship. So should we pop in there?
What is this position?
Oh, this is very complicated, isn't it? So a knight. So Black's 2 pass.
I'm going to play king e3 here.
Yeah.
Not very sure about that last one. Maybe rook d1 now. Actually, this is probably the move. And queen d2.
Feels like this white king's in a bit of trouble to me.
Well, it's not 100% clear. I go rook e6 or something.
Rook g3 maybe?
Yeah, and move up.
Rook g4? Oh, which way are the pawns going? Rook g4?
Yeah, rook g4, no, it's true.
When's the queen?
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. Probably rook d1 is just going to be... It's probably going to be good for... There's not... I don't know, rook c8 still. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure about this. It's a bit of a mess, I think. Is the general feeling. Yeah. It's
what about rook g3 straight away?
Rook g3, I guess maybe king f4.
Queen f2.
King e5.
I'm making it up. Rook e3. We get mated if we take that knight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The board's upside down. Sure.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
It just looks wrong, doesn't it?
Yeah.
No, I think still a lot of play in this one. I think it's going to be quite thrilling till the end. I think.
We're going to look at board 1 first in the championship.
Okay.
Comment that bishop takes g3 is good. This was
bishop g3 now, but I've got.
I don't know whether exactly now though. That's the only thing.
Well,
so
I was looking.
Queen's come off.
King's gone to g1. Sorry. But bishop g3, I've got queen g4 check, I guess. Yeah. Oh, and then queen b1 is on there.
Okay. Oh, it is. Angus is saying it was when we looked at it before.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. King g1 played. Why king g1? That's such a weird move.
Oh, because you can go queen b1.
Well, no, I mean, e5 is hanging right, but I mean, I can go bishop g3 here, can't I? Not sure. It's all too complicated. Looks fine to me, but yeah, I don't know.
Okay. The other request was board 7 of the major open. Board 7 of the major open. Okay, let's do it.
That's a win for black, that one. Yeah, that's a win for black. That one's all over.
Is that Nigel Fleming? Are you supporting Nigel Fleming?
Yeah, he's one of he was my treasurer.
Well done to him. He's won his first round. Okay. Yes. Are there any juniors playing in the championship?
Yeah, we're looking.
Should we have a look in?
I think everyone's finished virtually by now. I think. Finished? Okay, yeah, I think so.
Fine. Right. In that case, we should probably wind up.
Yeah. Good.
Yes. Right. Well, thank you very much. An exciting first day in the championship. Now, Matthew, what was the game of the day for you?
Game of the day.
Yeah, tell me if I'm putting you on the spot too much there with that.
No worries. Of the ones that we saw, I think Chris Ward against Mr. Walker. I think that was probably the.
Okay. That was Chris Ward is awarded the game of the day today.
Fair enough.
£10,000.
At least £10,000, I'm sure. Yeah. All right. So thanks everyone. Thanks everyone very much for your comments in the chat. Thanks everyone in the room. And we'll be back, Matthew, tomorrow, 4 o'clock, to see round 2 of the Chessable British Championships. So please do join us in. And thanks everyone for watching.
Thanks so much.